Secretary of Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TETFund, Malam Aliyu Naya, to please come and tell Nigerians what he is doing in his sector. Malam Aliyu Naya.
Mr. Chairman, and the host, my brother, the Chairman of Senate Committee on MDGs, so I will beg to stand on existing protocols. When the host of this occasion was making his presentation, he mentioned the presence of TETFund in all tertiary education in Nigeria, publicly owned tertiary education in Nigeria, institutions in Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, what I will also remind you is there is a presence of TETFund in this hall. Mr. Chairman, the picture behind you, the photograph, which identifies the fulfillment of the transformation agenda of Mr. President, captured one of the TETFund intervention projects. My presentation here is to complement the presentation of the Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Rukayetu Ahmed Rufai, on the achievement of the education sector at the midterm of the administration of President Goodluck Ebele Azikwe Jonathan, GCFR. We are also going to highlight the roles and key achievements of Tertiary Education Trust Fund in the actualization of the transformation agenda. The transformation agenda of Mr. President is based on some set priorities and programs which aims at transforming the Nigerian economy to meet the future needs of the Nigerian people. And it is based on the 3 C's of continuity, consistency, and commitment, whose key component is education and human capital development. To actualize the education component of the transformation agenda, a coordinated approach was adopted to identify the major challenges and the ways to address the major challenges. Those challenges were identified in the 4-year strategic plan as presented by the Honorable Minister of Education on the June 13th on this podium. The 6 focal areas, the 2 major ones are on access and quality. And these 2 major ones are being supported by another 4 strategic interventions of strengthening the institutional management of education, teacher development and training, technical and vocational education, funding, partnerships, resource mobilization and utilization. Mr. Chairman, a bit about the background of my organization. TETFund is a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Education, which was originally set up to intervene in all sectors of education, from the basic to the secondary and to the tertiary education. However, an act as amended by the National Assembly of 2011 repurposed TETFund for the development and rehabilitation of infrastructure in public tertiary institutions in line with the original mandate of it. The source of funding accruing to the fund is through the 2% education tax being levied on the accessible profit of all registered companies in Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, what is the role of TETFund in transforming education in Nigeria? To address the issues of access and quality, the objectives of Nigerian education system is to develop a world-class institution that will have world-class infrastructure, learning resources, and world-class teachers. Mr. Chairman, in your introduction, you discussed about the infrastructure. I want to pay more attention on the development of the content, the teachers. So to ensure that the institutions are able to produce highly skilled world-class manpower and individuals with entrepreneurial skills. Therefore, funds availability is very, very essential for the operations of the TETFund. TETFund is a key agency for actualizing the 4-year strategic plan focal area that is of the funding partnerships. Our role includes to receive funds through the Federal Inland Revenue, who have been our collaborating partners since the establishment of the TETFund, and we are very, very grateful to the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The Board of Trustees of TETFund manage the fund, disburses the fund to beneficial institutions. They also monitor the utilization of this fund and assess, that is, undertake impact assessment on the utilization to ensure value for money. What is the scope of intervention of TETFund? From the inception of TETFund to December 2011, the fund has received a sum of 574 billion from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The intervention, which is currently limited in line with the Enabling Act, is to support 201 presently publicly owned tertiary educational institutions, which include 78 federal and state universities, 60 federal and state polytechnics, and 63 federal and colleges of education. These funds are being shared as contained in the Enabling Act by the Board of Trustees. The ratio is based on the 211, that is, universities take 50% of the collections, polytechnics take 25%, while colleges of education takes the balance of 25%. What are the conditions for our interventions? Number one condition is the institution has to be a publicly owned institution, either federal or state. Then funds are allocated in line with our Enabling Act, and they are allocated on equality of institutions. The type of intervention programs, we have what we call normal intervention. Normal intervention is at the beginning of the year, the Board of Trustees will look at the collections and they will take a percentage of it and share it equally to all the institutions in line with the sharing formula of 211. We have high impact intervention, which is made to progressively upgrade the teaching and learning environment of our institutions. Special intervention, develop libraries, academic staff training and development. I'm coming to speak much on this aspect of the program. conference attendance, also for capacity development of the academicians, institutional journal publication, that wasn't there before the advent of TETFund, development, research grant, both institutional and national research grant. Other special interventions are carried out also in response to identified needs or on the directives of the government. We have the e-library development in the Federal Unity Colleges. The practice at moribund was resuscitated courtesy of TETFund. Provision of multimedia micro-teaching laboratories in 58 federal and state colleges of education. Also the funding and takeoff of the 12 new federal universities. The Honorable Minister says a lot on this. TETFund conceived and started the support and the establishment of Almajiri Model School under the Sangha system of education. But being a basic education, we have to hand it over to UBEC. Also, funding of the Committee of Need Assessment of Nigerian Universities. The development and rehabilitation of laboratories in 51 federal and state polytechnics. How do we ensure that there is a quality in sharing of TETFund's money? When we look at the trends of allocation, each university in their 2010 got 303 million, 2011 395 million, 2012 595 million. These are progressive increments which are as a result of increase in collection of tax, education tax, by the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The figures for 2013 we believe are going to be higher than this, and the Honorable Minister of Education is going to make an announcement in due course. What are the procedures for disbursement of TETFund? TETFunds do not determine projects for any institution. We bet the submission, but we insist to be on critical core mandate of that institution or other things that are so peripheral to the development of our education sector. Therefore, institutions make submissions in accordance with the projects determined by them. They provide us with the necessary documents, including the drawings, the bill of quantities, where necessary, to support the submission they made. These applications are vetted by TETFund officials. We have a core of professionals in TETFund, ranging from architects, quantity surveyors, engineers, accountants, estate managers, economists, administrators. We have many of them in TETFund that will dissect and advise on any submission received from any institution. If these applications are in line with the core mandate of the institution, then the institution will engage their own contractors or vendors or suppliers in line with the Public Procurement Act of 2007. They are to open a dedicated account for which the intervention fund is sent. Then they pay their contractors, vendors or suppliers. TETFund do not intervene in giving contracts to anybody. What we do is to give the money to the tertiary institutions who engage their contractors, engage their vendors, follow due process, and disburse the money to those contractors or vendors. But the institutions are to account for all allocations made to them before new allocations are made. This is very, very important, and that was one reason why there is any abandoned TETFund projects throughout the country. How do we release our funds? We don't take our funds and give to any institution en bloc. We monitor before we give our funds. After you follow the due process, when the conditions are okay for release of funds, if you are going into construction, we release 50% for you to commence construction projects. We monitor your projects. When it is due, we confirm from your project, we look at your financials, then we release 35%. We hold 15% as retention till after a period of a minimum of either a rainy season or a period of 6 months to ensure the project made stood the test of time. However, if it is procurement, we release our money in 2 tranches, 85% and 15%. It's important, I told you that, what are our procedures and how are we able to achieve what everyone has been commending us for. Some of the key achievements, as I said earlier, is the need assessment report. Need assessment was undertaken to all public universities in Nigeria. The essence of that assignment was for the government to know who are the staffers of those institutions. What is the condition of facilities? Because there are so many reports of roads, reports of decaying infrastructure. Therefore, the federal government, under our executive secretary, appointed a committee that undertake a comprehensive need assessment of all the Nigerian universities. The recommendations of that report has been made to FEC, and FEC has approved the recommendation of that report for TETFund to come and assist further. The need assessment to polytechnics and colleges of education, as earlier said by Madam Minister, is in the pipeline. What are the infrastructures we develop? The Honorable Minister of Information has already listed so many of them. I will therefore not bog you with what are they not. Rather, I'm going to talk about the content development by TETFund. Please move to the Almajiri slide. The Almajiri slide, please. The picture there was the first school to be commissioned by Mr. President in Sokoto when the fund-initiated Almajiri School was commissioned. You can see Mr. President here, the Sultan of Sokoto, the Governor, and the Chairman of Senate Committee on Education. The next picture is the Almajiri School in Kano that was fully developed and funded by TETFund. But these institutions are now being handed over to the state governments for them to run them. Before we exited the basic education, TETFund funded the construction of e-libraries in all federal unity colleges. This is to ensure the availability of information materials to support the teaching and learning process, and also to encourage lifelong learning among students. How about the new federal universities, the 12 federal universities? TETFund provided 4.7 billion naira to the 9 initial new universities and 2.7 billion naira to the 3 additional new universities for their takeoff and for the provision of necessary infrastructure. And this is to enable all the federal universities to commence full academic activities, of which the 9 initial ones have commenced. The remaining 3 are to commence their academic activities in 2014. Some of the projects funded by the fund in some of the new universities are as indicated in the slide that follows. There is that of Lafia, that of Utoke, that of Kashere in Gombe State, that of Oye Ekiti in Ekiti State, that of Lokoja in Kogi State, that of Duse in Jigawa State, and that of Dusema in Katsina State, Ndufo Alike in Ebonyi State, Bukari in Taraba State. These ones you are seeing, these are TETFund, these are taxpayers' money in action, because the fund we give for the development of this infrastructure are taxpayers' money. Development of infrastructures at the tertiary institutions. That is, how do we support the development of infrastructure? We support tertiary institutions to develop their infrastructure, to help in expanding and improve access and quality, and also in the delivery of education. We have already spoken about the trend of allocation. I think you should move away from that slide. When you go to the next slide, you see some of the technical and vocational equipment TETFund supplies to some of our federal colleges of education. The first one is on Porto School. The next one is Akoka in Lagos. It's a technical college of education. The other one is a special one for the disabled, FCE Oyo. The next slide is for FCE Bichi in Kano State, FCE Abeokuta in Ogun State, Dusima in Katsina State. They have a college of education which TETFund actively participated to provide the necessary infrastructure and learning materials. Then also Niger State College of Education, Mina, College of Education, Azare in Bauchi State, and the Nigerian Army School of Education in Ilorin. In polytechnics, you see where the intervention grew. In 2010, we gave each polytechnic the sum of 216 million naira. This figure grew to 240 million naira and further was enhanced to 337 million naira in 2012. Mr. Chairman, I assure you the figure coming for 2013 is going to be announced by the Honorable Minister is going to be something higher than this. So we should expect more development for all our institutions. Mr. Chairman, the picture you are seeing there on the slide is that of Yaba College of Technology. The slide there is 100% TETFund project. This is how TETFund changes the teaching and learning environment into a world-class teaching and learning environment in all our institutions. That is Yaba College of Technology, Auchi Polytechnic, that's Auchi Polytechnic, Federal Polytechnic Nasarawa, Federal Polytechnic Bali in Taraba State, Damaturu, Federal Poly in Yobe State, Federal Poly Bauchi, Federal Poly Ilaro, Oko. You can see how TETFund is making life very, very comfortable for all our academic institutions. Mr. Chairman, the universities took 50% of all our collections. It started in 2010 when the transformation agenda of Mr. President came into being. Each university took 303 million naira. In 2011, it grew to 395 million naira, while in 2012, due to improved collection, it grew to 595 million naira. Mr. Chairman, I assure you the Minister is going to announce a better figure for 2013. The slides that follows are the lecture theatre at Gombe State University, fully funded by TETFund. Then the lecture theatre at Kano is a university also, specialized one. Special interventions. Why do we intervene specially in institutions? These are high-impact projects that are targeted to progressively upgrade the teaching and learning environment of any institution where we intervene. It is an enhanced development of institutions to centers of excellence. So far, TETFund commenced this project in 2009, and the sum of 84.4 billion naira has already been committed. The program is at its fourth phase, and 25 billion naira has already been earmarked for the 2013 phase. Now, what are the institutions that benefited during these phases? In phase 1, the list of institutions are there. 6 universities, including NDA 7, 6 colleges of education, 6 polytechnics. Same thing with phase 2, where we have University of Jos, Kogi State University, ATBU, Federal Poly Mubi. You look at the zones where they are located and the states. You go to phase 3. This one was implemented in 2011, then phase 4, which is the current one in 2012. During the 2012 intervention year, TETFund intervened in Benue State University, Makodi, with the sum of 3 billion naira. Some of the photographs that follows are those of the high-impact projects. This is Gombe State University. Look at the conducive, look at the learning environment, fully air-conditioned. This is Futo, Oweri. Look at the seating arrangement. Look at the environment. This is School of Medical Sciences, University of Benin. Yes. This is Faculty of Education, University of Benin again. Another slide. School of Agri, Federal University of Technology, Oweri, fully funded by TETFund. Next slide. Next slide to Maiduguri. Go to Maiduguri.